So you ask if it's time for an apology. Well, it's probably far past time. This is something generations before us should have had. But here's where my concern comes in as a minister, going on 8 years, about to start my 9th year, if all goes well, at the annual conference this year, is that you're asking the victims how they want to be apologized to. And that's something I have a big concern with, is that this conversation is something we wrestle with every day as we piece together the identity that has been ripped from us, not voluntarily. We talk about having conversations with our grandparents and our parents. Well, our grandparents didn't even know this was happening. They were just doing what was asked of them. Saying, here's what it takes for you to be successful, and even take it into the church. Here's what it takes for you to be saved and okay spiritually. And they did it. It wasn't a conversation of debate. They wanted to do what the Creator asked them. Okay, this is what you're telling us. This is what I'm going to do. But then generations later, we have doctoral candidates. We have all of our people can get in there and start piecing together what's going on, and we see. Wait a second. The 1,000,001 mistruths that have been indoctrinated in all of our tribal cultures, no matter where you go in this country, no matter what region, the 1,000,001 mistruths that have been indoctrinated into us as the absolute truth and way of being. That's what I have a problem with now, is that we recognize those mistruths. And so when we recognize, we acknowledge, I think the only word that can be graphic enough is the rape of everything about us, of Native people. And so that's where I say enter the acts of repentance, is that if you're going to the victim, you are re-traumatizing a community by saying, now, how do you want me to apologize to you? This is a conversation for the non-Native communities. Because you know as well as I do, there are 1,000,001 churches out there that this isn't even on their radar screen. There's going to be delegates at General Conference and saying, well, I don't even know why we're doing this. They're not even going to come to it probably. They're going to go and visit Tampa, go and visit the beach or something. That's the reality. And that's the reality all of these young people face every day. And so you ask us, we've had to learn how to operate without an apology. We've had to learn how to be Native, to be indigenous, to embrace what fraction of a culture we all have to the best of our ability. And that's something that, thanks be to our Creator, we have been able to do. Maybe it's not as good as generations past, or maybe we don't embrace it as much as other generations, but we're doing what we can with what we know. And so I think that's the biggest thing that I have a problem with, is that you don't go to a rape victim, you don't go to a domestic violence victim and say, well, here's your abuser. Let's figure out how we want him to apologize to you. And in some ways, they don't ever see that person again. What we have to recognize is in the stories in our lives today, we have already adapted to how to succeed, how to be who we are without that apology. And we embrace that. I think that the terms I use is there's two ways of being Native or indigenous. You can be a passive or you can be an active. Passive is one that reads the books. Passive is one that says, well, here's what Kiowas should be doing. Here's what Seminoles should be doing, Creeks should be doing. Active is, well, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to live it. And it's a little bit closer to even that way of life, that the way I look at it is pre-contact with European. And thanks be to God, all of us have some of that still left, whether it's in that peyote church, whether it's in the Sundance, whether it's in an Ipi ceremony of the North, whether it's in a Stomp Dance ceremony, which my tribe does, that we've been able to grasp and maintain just a little of that. Which is the second half to my comment, is that by nature of all of those ceremonies, we automatically do what it takes to get our spiritual lives back on track. And if that means forgiving an oppressor, or if that, whatever it is, we do that every time when, like the way my elders tell me, is every time we touch that medicine, is that we leave those things that have happened to us over the course of the past year behind, and we don't think about them again. Because it's more important to be active in who we are, as opposed to just constantly, you're right, well, I'm a victim. And so therefore, one of these things, it's barely on my radar screen. In fact, as a United Methodist minister, that's why I think the act of repentance is important, not for myself, but for the other ministers out there.